Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to texture a mesh using transparency. So it's really simple, just to make sure that you have your UVs laid out. For this particular demonstration I'm going to simply use a polyplane. It's already fully laid out in my UV editor, as you'll see here. So there's my UVs for this, and you'll notice they're all blue. And with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and apply a texture to it. So I'm going to hold right click, I'm going to assign new material. It could be a blend if I were to add a whole bunch of extra features to it, but it could be, it doesn't matter for this particular lab. All I'm looking for is that your texture has transparency attributes to it. Now, I want to show you, I was on cgtextures.com and I downloaded this leaf texture. So, I'm doing this with a leaf. And in Photoshop, I'm also going to go ahead and show you a couple other things that are useful in Photoshop. So let's just say that you downloaded an image and it didn't already have the transparency background. That's the light gray white checkerboard in the background. That means it's transparent. Now, just as an example, I'm going to duplicate these and merge them just to go ahead and show you how to sort of quickly get rid of some of the background if you were to have an image like this that you wanted to sort of quick select your background. Now, one way to do it is to use your quick selection tool and make sure you have the little plus sign here, and then just go around and sort of click around. Alright, now the other thing is, if I were to select, let's just say, too much area in here, what I want to do is click my minus and go back in here and sort of touch that up until I get a look that I like, and then I can go ahead and just click delete again. And there's pretty much all there is to it. Now, I used black because I knew it would be able to select it much easier. If had I chosen white, it may have had trouble around the stem here, but just to show you, and it looks like I missed a spot or two, and it has a subtle black outline around it in comparison to the original, but it does a really good job of doing that. Now, let's go ahead one more time. Another thing I can do is I can do select color range, and I'm going to go ahead and do my fuzziness, and I'm going to just select that black, and you'll see as it selects everything under selection, and I'm going to click OK, and you'll sort of see this auto sort of select, and then I can go ahead and click delete, and you'll see that Control D. Now it has very quickly gotten rid of all those background features. So if you download an image or create an image that's sort of, you know, all on one layer, and you want to sort of get rid of some of that information, that's a great way to do it. And one last thing, I'm just going to Control Alt Z that. One last thing is, if there is information in there that you may want to go back and keep, so you don't want to just hit delete. One quick little note: if you do layer and layer mask, and we'll do reveal all, this is going to create a mask for us. And what that does, I'm just going to use a brush for this just to show you. Using black, and with this already pre-selected, we'll start to get rid of, I'm using a black brush here, we'll start to hide that information. Now, if I were to go to my switch my color to white, so it runs primarily. Black will mask and white unmasks. So now I'll go back in here and you'll see that it starts to unmask. Okay, so just a quick note so you know that there's another way to do that. And now if I ever wanted to go back, I'm going to hit Control D, and then I'm going to switch back to my brush and go here. I can always go ahead and add some of that info back if I ever needed to, because it's all on this masked layer. So black and white control the reveal on that. So that's another way to do it. But I'm going to just go back to the original, but just to show you a few cool little features, and then you would save this out as a PNG. So PNG, and then go ahead and click save. Yes, and yes. Okay, so now that I have this saved out as a PNG, and I sort of got rid of my background image and all that other fun stuff, I can go back into Maya, and then I'm going to, under color, assign a new material. And over here I'm just going to do file, and this is the same thing we've been doing to apply textures, but now we're going to do it with some transparency. And I think I have it, transparency textures, alpha mask, here we go. And now you don't see anything, and I'm going to give you a second to think about it. Why may you not see your texture right away? Okay, so the answer is because 4 is wireframe, 5 is shaded, which is the default view on these, and then if I press 6, you'll see shaded with display on there. Now because it's a blend, you're going to see the shiny reflectivity. So as a quick little side note, perhaps if you were creating a glass window with some type of visual sort of, grime, or maybe it's a rainy day on the glass window or something, just to give you a little idea on how this could be really effective. And also the other thing with blends is that they also retain, and you'll see there's our little preview sample, and you'll also see that it automatically creates a transparency map, which is great. That's why we love to use PNGs for this particular reason. Obviously you could always go ahead and add a bump map, a specular map, so on and so forth, which would be great for if you were to use this for like a window or something. Now if you didn't want to have all that information there, you can go ahead and bring down your eccentricity, specular roll off, and then you will sort of bring it back to that default Lambert state. And you will notice that on the other side it's just black, and that's because the texture only displays on the one side of a face. This is actually what you call it doesn't, how's the easiest way to explain this? The normals on this will only display facing one way. So I'm going to select one face. You'll see I have this face selected, and if I go to mesh display and I can do reverse, you'll notice really quickly that that square just reversed and it's on this side. And the reason being is that the normals need to be on one side, and those normals are the only way that it'll be able to display the texture. Now I'll reverse. Another thing we can do, because it's a leaf and it could be anything, even on a window needs some type of depth. I'm going to duplicate this, and I can't really just scale it or rotate it, because if I do that, it's going to be the opposite way. Now if I do 180 and then I scale, let's see if it's -1 on X. Nope. Let's try -1 on Z. If I do -1 on Z in this particular instance, you'll notice that and I'm just going to bring it just subtly under. Oop. Something, oop, yeah, something like that. And now, and I'm actually going to group these. I'm going to press Control G. And now, I can rotate it at any way, and you'll see that it's a leaf on both sides, which is really neat. It's a really classic way that old school video games used to do texturing on certain things, primarily sort of trees. If you've ever noticed, if you've ever played very, I don't know, N64 maybe a little bit before that, give or take, around the 3D era, PS1, you'll notice that if you're ever passing like a pine tree, or really any kind of tree in that matter, they crisscross things. So you may have run into things like this. Let's make it 90. And it looks a little weird, but you get the idea, and that's how they used to do sort of these old school trees in games. Typically you just kind of be driving by or whatever and you barely even notice it, but that's the idea behind it. And that's all I'm looking for in this particular lab. So if you have any questions, be sure to message me on Canvas inbox. It's a neat lab, it's super effective. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this was really useful for some of you, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you so much.